Hey everybody, it's been a while, but I'm back with the CRV for some more off-roading adventures, and I've got a good one to share with you all today. This past weekend, my girlfriend and awesome road trip partner Megan and I headed east over the Cascades and into the Oregon Outback High Desert. Our first stop was at one of my favorite geological formations, Fortrock. The small town of Fortrock sits just a mile from the state park, and it includes a historical homestead museum. These buildings have been brought from around the area and are now placed here at the museum for visitors to view. I'm somewhat familiar navigating this area because I grew up coming camping with my longtime friend Logan and his family. I'm excited to show Megan this part of the state and maybe explore some trails that I've never been on before. It's just a quick drive over to Fortrock State Park. After hiking around a bit, we decided to pull out the DIY awning and christen its maiden voyage by cooking an Italian pepper steak freeze-dried meal for lunch with my Jetboil stove. The wind was a big factor I'd experienced for the first time with this setup. Out on the open plains, heavy gusts of winds are common. I needed to use an extra guy wire to secure the tarp while we ate our lunch in the shade. Believe it or not, at one point long ago, this whole area was covered in a giant glacier that carved out the Fortrock Valley here. Eventually the ice melted off and this area became an inland sea. Another fun fact is that the oldest pair of human shoes was found in a cave about a mile west of Fortrock, and they are now on display at the Museum of Natural History in Eugene at the University of Oregon. Our destination for tonight is Summerlake, about 35 miles southeast of Fortrock. But I stopped along the way to show Megan my old camping grounds in Rimrock viewpoint that I used to camp with Logan's family. The road traveling back into this campsite is so fun. Logan and I used to mob around on one of the old Honda ATC 3-wheelers all over here and had a blast. Out here is the Rimrock. We would spend a lot of our time target shooting our .22s and shotguns, as well as searching for lizards and other small creatures sheltered in the rock. My favorite factor about the high desert is that it's so dispersed from other people. It was common that we would only see the signs of our previous year's camp as we would come back year after year. The spot was rarely visited by others. We had a very wet spring this year, and this is the only time in 20 years that I've seen standing water on this trail. Naturally, I took advantage and splashed in the mud. Now we were headed back on track and going south towards Summerlake. The main reason for this trip is to celebrate my grandma's 90th birthday and to visit one of her bucket list stops, the Cowboy Dinner Tree, home of the 30-ounce steak cooked just like the Cowboys used to. We were going to go there Saturday night for our dinner. My dad and stepmom, my grandma, my aunts and uncles, and a handful of cousins were all planning to come out. Our home base for the weekend was the lodge at Summerlake. For this weekend, I was on a somewhat limited schedule of time to go out and off-road and compile footage to make this video. I woke up early at 5:30 each morning with the sun and hit the trails. My goal for the first morning was to explore the neighboring wildlife refuge, then find my way on top of the snow-covered range surrounding Summerlake. I had stopped at the ranger station in Crescent the day before and bought a map of the area, by suggestion of my friend Donald at softroadingthewest on Instagram and here on YouTube as well. I spent some time the previous night scoping out interesting spots with Megan. The most promising views looked to be from the Fremont viewpoint. Luckily, the road to access it was just a couple miles down the highway from the lodge. I'd finally came across a dirt turnoff about 4 miles up the gravel incline. I decided to check out the view. It was pretty nice and gave me a good scope of the area, but I could see that I could still climb higher, so on I went. I absolutely love off-roading out here in the desert. There are just so many roads right off the main highway to explore. The best part is that most of the time these trails lead to good viewpoints of the area. I found a gravel forest road, but I'm hoping to find some nice soft dirt trails to play around on. You can't beat the cushion dirt provides over the hard-packed gravel I'm used to over in the Willamette Valley. I've also now ran across some lingering snow. It's the last weekend of April, but we are at about 6,500 feet right now, and the shady spot still has some nasty slick ice piles left. The further down this road I go, I can see the trees starting to thin out and a good viewpoint coming up just around the next corner. I keep going through some of these snowy patches, hoping for a good view around the next one. And I found it. Check this out. This valley is massive. This whole ridge surrounds about half of the valley, and then there's some lower peaks on the other side. That lake you saw in the middle is a salt lake, that's Summerlake. Usually during the summertime that's not even there because it all evaporates. Now I'm headed back to the lodge to meet up with the rest of the family for breakfast. I let Megan sleep in this morning as well while I went out off-roading. We have some more adventures planned for later in the day. After looking at our map, we decided to drive further south to the town of Paisley and possibly check out the hot springs nearby. With a tip from a local store owner, we ventured up the river canyon to see if we could find any old abandoned homesteads. Megan and I both enjoy creepy old places, and we were hoping to get a closer look at a rustic old rundown cabin. Unfortunately, I've never been down to this area before, so I had no real clues to go off of. All the ones that I knew of were scattered further north out near Fortrock where we were the previous day. We never found one, which was pretty disappointing because I knew Megan was really excited to get a chance to explore and take pictures. Although this river area was a pretty cool find, and we wound up running into my dad out here as well. Now it was time for the highlight of our trip, spending dinner with my grandma and the rest of the extended family at the Cowboy Dinner Tree out near Silver Lake. All of the food here is cooked outside on the barbecue. The meal includes salad, cowboy beans, amazing homemade rolls, a baked potato, and your choice of a 30-ounce top sirloin steak or a whole roasted chicken. They really don't mess around here when it comes to hefty portions and encourage patrons to bring coolers because leftovers are guaranteed. It was already the final morning of the trip, and I wanted to make the most of the few hours I had left to explore. I decided that going back up on the ridge was the closest and most time-effective option. Yesterday I had noticed a small dirt track across the highway from the route up the ridge. I began down it, enjoying some of its fun bumps and obstacles. The fun quickly faded as I realized the whole road was going to be this rough and didn't appear to go anywhere too remarkable. So I headed back and started up the ridge again. I did enjoy the openness of this road better compared to across the way and up in the hills where it was full of trees. Surprisingly, for the early morning, I didn't see much wildlife out and about. The morning before, I had ran across multiple herd of deer out for a morning meal. I found this little dirt patch and decided to play around a little bit before heading along my way. This time, I took a different route that I was hoping would take me to an overlook of the Fortrock Valley and the Cascade Mountains. I followed a red cinder road for a ways until I came across a promising looking dirt road. I quickly referenced the map and discovered the area was titled Dead Indian Rim. That sounded pretty epic, so my decision to explore this trail was made there. I'd quickly discovered an open valley between two rimrock lined edges. The further I made my way down the trail, the better the views became and the more the trees opened up to reveal a great vista of the surrounding valleys. I was quickly running out of time and needed to start heading back home. It was a somber moment looking out over the desert. This truly is one of my favorite areas of the state, and I never feel like I have enough time when I'm out here to fully explore it. I can't wait for the next chance to come back out and throw some more dust on the CRV. I squeezed the most fun I could out of driving back up this road towards the lodge. The weather was great this weekend, and it just makes me itch to get out more and more now that the weather is getting nicer and nicer. I'm really hoping to film a few more YouTube videos for this series over the next month or so, from locations back home just a little bit closer to my house. I've already got some footage captured, I just need a few more segments here and there to assemble full videos I can upload onto here. Megan and I had left Summerlake and said our goodbyes to the family, and we were now on our way to the High Desert Museum in Bend. Neither of us had been since we were young, so we wanted to go check out the exhibits and watch the animals. I highly recommend this museum to anyone living in or traveling through the area. It gives a really good insight into the ways of life of the people who lived in the high desert and a detailed account about the geology and natural inhabitants of the region. We made a couple of final stops. First we caught the lunch special at Chan's, our favorite Chinese restaurant in the state, and finally at Sonic for a couple drinks for the car ride back over the mountains to Eugene. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and be sure to stay posted for more popping up in the near future.